Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at the new Thermaltake TOUGHFAN 12. Is it a good competitor for Noctua? Keep watching to find out. Okay, so in today's video we'll be taking a look at the new Thermaltake TOUGHFAN 12. Now this is a new design from Thermaltake and is primarily designed as a radiator fan with a high static pressure, but essentially you can use this for pretty much anything. And later on in the video you'll see how I've managed to replace one of my Noctua fans on my cooler and actually gain some pretty decent results. So let's take a look at the packaging, we'll take it out of the box, take a look at it, go through some of the specs and see if it's right for you. So the first thing I suppose we should mention is the price. Now, fan pricing is generally all over the place. A competitive product to this, such as the Noctua, the AF12s, realistically looking around about $30 at the moment, whereas this comes in at around about $20. Now those prices are reflected here in the United Kingdom, with the Noctua fans coming in around about £27, £28, and these coming in at just under 20. So roughly a saving of approximately a third of the price. But do they perform a third worse? Well, we'll find that out later. Let's take a look at the packaging first of all. So packaging wise, these look pretty cool, very nice retail packaging. And as you can see straight away, these are in a kind of like a nice matte black finish. Also, you've got rubberized grommets on the side, which are in a grey. Really nice to see. And obviously, if you are into your Noctua fans, then this is a very nice thing to see rather than seeing those brown and beige edges. Looking at the side, nothing much going on there, and on the back it goes into a lot of detail about the specifications of the fan, which I'll put up on the screen for you now so you can read through those. But essentially what it comes down to is these are a high static pressure fan with a high RPM and a very, very low noise threshold. Now these at the highest speed, 2000 RPM, you're looking at a maximum airflow of around about 58.35 CFM, which again puts it into very close competition with those Noctua fans of the similar variety. They normally are around about 60 CFM, maybe slightly lower for the NF versions, but the AF versions are around about 60. So very much this is a kind of equivalent type product, albeit a little bit cheaper. Also of note is the new bearing in these. So this has got the new hydraulic bearing in there. Basically, it's been refined and updated to make it very, very quiet and very, very stable. There is a steel shaft which runs through the bearing just to keep those tolerances to an absolute minimum and therefore reducing vibration and noise. These are a standard size as well, so it's 120 by 120 by 25mm, so should fit into most systems, and have a PWM range of between 500 RPM and 2000 RPM. Again, very much an equivalent product to the AF fan. Maximum static pressure is rated at 2.41 H2O, so again pretty much a static optimized fan. So let's take it out of the box and see what we actually get. So starting off from the packaging, again it's very nice inside as well, and we get the main fan itself and the cable attachment. And as you can see, this does look very, very familiar. The design, the bearing, etc. There's quite a few high-end fans on the market which all share a very, very similar looking design, and again if it works for others, then why not take advantage of that and then refine the process. So we've got multiple blades, and also the blades have got a very, very close tolerance to the outer side, again keeping that static pressure. You've got your rubberized grommets on the side, so for noise dampening, and those are on the front and on the rear. Nice to see that you've got all blacked out cabling, and also there is a cover on the cable as well, just to protect it should it for some reason get caught in any fans elsewhere in the system, etc. Or just for cable management, so if they do rub against something, then you're not going to damage the cable itself. You have got actually quite a long cable on there. Again, this is really designed for radiators, so you can have a nice long PWM cable which should stretch around the system from front to back very, very easily. Although if you're using this for a air cooler replacement, then you may find some of this a little bit awkward to cable manage. But again, you can put it down the back of the PC so it is out of sight. Also in the box you get your Thermaltake leaflet, and there's a little box here which contains some mounting hardware and also a low noise connector. So we've got some fan mountings there, standard fans, and also you've got some longer screws for attaching to radiators, which is nice. And we get our low noise adapter, so you can plug this in line with the cable, and this will reduce the RPM down to around about 1500 RPM at the maximum, or effectively 9 volts DC. Normally these will run at a maximum of 12 volts DC. So looking a little bit closer at the fan itself, very, very well built, and actually quite heavy as well, around about 180 grams, so got a decent bit of weight to it. Also, we've got the new design on the fans. It's based out of a new liquid polymer design, And they use this compound basically to minimize vibrations. It's got a very good tensile strength, so again, limited wobble factor, all that kind of stuff. Essentially, the better quality you can get, or the tensile strength in the fan and the fan blades, it stops them wobbling around and making those kind of weird noises that we get in cases with some of those cheaper fans. Going back to the fan hub in the center, so we've got this metal center. Pretty much most of this is metal. Also, the actual hub itself is all metal design, and there is a hydraulic bearing in there as well, or hydro bearing. So again, very, very low noise and designed to last a long time. And talking of lasting a long time, when you do buy one of these, you do actually get a 2-year warranty on it, which is nice. Not quite up to the standards of some of the Noctua fans, which are 6-year warranties, but again, this is a third cheaper, so do bear that in mind. So that's what the fan looks like, and this is what you get in the packaging. So let's take a look at some of the specifications and actually see how it did in testing. So looking at the graph, we've got the Thermaltake TOUGHFAN 12 versus the Noctua NF12A, and the speeds are measured in meters per second. So the TOUGHFAN with a full speed fan attached to a radiator, 3 meters per second, whereas the Noctua, a little bit faster, you got 3.2 meters per second. Using it in an open environment without a radiator, so a completely open environment, the TOUGHFAN 12 scored 4.15 meters per second, whereas the Noctua again slightly pipped it at 4.3 meters per second. Again, these sort of results are very much kind of in the margin of error. There is a very, very subtle difference between them, but not a huge amount, so it is definitely within that same ballpark. So another option of this is to use one of these TOUGHFANs, rather than attaching it to a radiator, maybe use it as a case fan, or actually to upgrade your existing CPU cooler. Now, I've taken the liberty of using my Noctua NHU12S as an example here, and I've removed the stock fan, which is the NF12, and replaced it with one of these. And I think you'll find the results quite interesting. So this is a graph of a comparison using the NHU12S and a combination of the NF-F12 PWM fan versus the TOUGHFAN 12. Now, this is measured in a 22-degree ambient room, and as you can see, the results are very, very good, or extremely close in fact. Full speed, the high temperatures, now this is with the Ryzen 5 3600, looking at 61 degrees for the TOUGHFAN 12, and the Noctua NF12 got 62 degrees. So again, definitely within the margin of error. So that is both fans on full speed. Both of the fans also on full speed. The lowest recorded temperatures in idle, now this is with a couple of apps open, Discord, that's usual kinds of things, but basically just idling. So again, the Noctua NF12 got 31 degrees and the TOUGHFAN 12 got 32 degrees. So definitely within that margin of error territory. But these tests are slightly unrealistic. Again, very few people are going to run these fans at full speed all the time. So let's take another look at the PWM results, which is what most people are likely to use. So this is using the Asus X570 Tough Gaming and with the standard stock profile in the normal mode. With the PWM settings, the highest recorded temperatures, with the TOUGHFAN 12 we got 63 degrees, and with the Noctua NF12 we got 65 degrees. So at last we've got a win for the Thermaltake fans. Now, I think a lot of this does come down to the slightly wider RPM range. The NF12 comes in at 1500 maximum RPM, whereas this is a 2000 RPM. So that little bit of extra RPM does certainly give you a very slight edge, albeit at a very slight noise premium. Both of these fans, even under full load, were pretty much whisper quiet. All you can hear really is the sound of air whooshing through your system. So they're definitely not loud. Around about 22 to 24 decibels. I don't have equipment to actually register that low, to be honest with you. I've tried doing it and it picks up so much ambient noise around the room that it's very difficult to kind of pinpoint which one is better or worse. So I haven't done that in this particular review. But going back to the temperatures, in the low setting with, again, the PWM settings, both of them got down to a low of about 34 degrees. Again, this is in a 22-degree room and with the system idling with various apps open, Steam's running in the background, Ubisoft, etc, etc. So this is pretty much indicative of what you'd expect to find on your own system in normal circumstances. To summarize, what would I do? Personally, if you're thinking of upgrading a existing CPU cooler, maybe something like the Contact 12 from Thermaltake, or maybe something like an Evo 212, and you want to get a little bit more performance out of it, and some of the Noctua fans, such as the Chromax, are a little bit out of your budget, then the TOUGHFAN 12 is definitely worth a look. Again, it is roughly about a third cheaper and pretty much bang on as far as performance goes. So there's very little between them in that regard. Obviously, if you're looking at keeping a system for an extended period, then the 6-year warranty on the Noctua is advantageous, but certainly the cost saving for the Thermaltake does tick a certain box. So this has been the Thermaltake TOUGHFAN 12. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.